Hello everyone, welcome back to Total Football Talk. So we're going to look at all the latest news, and my God, is there plenty of news absolutely flying out of Manchester United at the minute. We are on bomber alerts left, right and centre for all the news that's been kind of reported over the last 24 hours. Now I'm a bit late to the game, but we have breaking news on Mbeumo, we have news on Bruno Fernandes, we have news on Sancho, there's even news breaking on Garnacho and Chelsea, which I don't even have a slide for. There's news on Rasmus Hojlund. It's all going off this morning. So, as I said, I'm a bit late to the party, so apologies. But thank you for joining me. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whenever it is you're watching this. But yes, Bruno Fernandes, we'll start with the top story, has rejected El Hilal's offer. And we have the first news of this come out. It was breaking last night. I was watching a little bit of Terry Fleurs on the United Stand, and Mark Goldbridge had a little snippet that he thought that Bruno was going to stay, and then earlier this morning it all broke that Bruno Fernandes has rejected El Hilal's proposal, as Fabrizio Romano has stated here. And despite the crazy contract proposal from the Saudi Pro Club, Bruno Fernandes wants to continue playing football in Europe. Now that's an interesting statement, because kind of covering all bases. He still wants to play in Europe. Obviously, Manchester United are not in any European competition. So what does that mean? Does that mean that there's another European team in for him? I don't think so, because why would you sell one of your top players to a European team where you could maybe potentially come up against them for less money, when you could sell him to the Saudi Pro League, where he could earn phenomenal amounts of money and you could earn 100+ million? It doesn't make any sense. So it's an interesting line from Fabrizio there, coming out with the old, he still wants to play football in Europe. But why has Bruno's head been turned? Was it a family reason? Well, there was a little bit more news, and this was from Ben Jacobs, and this is what Ben Jacobs had to say, and this was Bruno Fernandes turned down the El Hilal advanced talks. The meeting, sorry, he had turning down the talks, the meetings, because there was a meeting last week in Riyadh, and El Hilal felt the terms of the agreement were close. However, Bruno Fernandes made it clear that he wanted to discuss the move with his family, and further talks took place with Manchester United. Ruben Amorim public comments that he wanted Bruno to stay were also reiterated privately to the Manchester United captain. Manchester United were always waiting for a bid, but apparently this bid never came in, even though they were aware that they were prepared to pay up to €100 million, and potentially closer to €120 million. So Al Hilal president Fabien bin Nafala believes that Bruno Fernandes was sold on the football project, but no final answer was given last week in Riyadh. Instead, Fernandes was given the deadline of this Friday and the latest to communicate his decision. And he talked about his family over the weekend. He decided to turn the offer down. So we knew that his family weren't kind of on the prospect of going to Riyadh and the Saudi Pro League. So there's a lot of mixed messages in there, because it's going to go to. Did Bruno? There's a lot of kind of different reasons in there for why Bruno may have stayed. From my point of view, I was kind of sold on the idea that Bruno would go. The fact that we could rebuild our midfield and our forward line, potentially a goalkeeper with the money that we could have got from Bruno. Bruno staying, he obviously has looked at the fact that Cunha's coming in maybe, and he's looked at the fact that Mbeumo has chosen Manchester United, and we'll get into that in a second. But has his head been turned because of that? Because he's seen that we actually are looking to progress this team, as we should be doing properly, like a big club. We're actually getting our signings in early. If Bruno actually does join early doors, that would be a massive, for Manchester United to actually operate in this way, that would be absolutely brilliant, because we do not operate as a big club and haven't done for over 10 years, probably longer. So there's a lot to kind of unpack from that. As I said, whether it's the family thing, whether it's Bruno wanting to play in Europe because he's not with Manchester United, because he feels that maybe he can offer to Manchester United plenty more. My slight fear with Bruno is that in the system that Manchester United play, Bruno will now probably drop deeper, and he'll play in that deeper role. But for me, Bruno gives the ball away too much. As much as he is progressive with the ball and he takes risks, and I do like that in a player, but maybe takes too many risks, too many Hollywood balls, too many short passes, 5 yards that are simple, but yet we lose the ball and we're transitioned on quite a lot. Bruno's going to have to adapt and adjust his game to play in that central midfield 8 position, I think, going forward. And if that is the case, if Ugarte is not the man, which I hope he is, but if he's not the man for Ruben Amorim, then that means we need a number 8 who can play, who can do a lot for him, who can get up and down the park. Can Kobe Mainoo do it? I think there's a player in Kobe. I just don't know if he suits Amorim's system, and maybe he is one who, I hope he stays, but maybe he is one that will be moved on now because of Bruno staying, and maybe we need to find money from elsewhere. So we'll keep a close eye on that one. But the other massive news was that Mbeumo, Brian Mbeumo, is getting closer to joining Manchester United from Brentford for €60 million, about £50 million, agreed personal terms for the contract until 2030, with an option to 2031. So this obviously was breaking last night, and Mbeumo had chosen Manchester United over Newcastle, Spurs, and who else? There was someone else that was in for him as well, which was brilliant news, because obviously Ben Jacobs did say that Brandon Mbeumo was looking for a project, and that it wasn't necessarily going to have to be Champions League football with a team playing in Europe, and that team was led to believe to be Newcastle. A good friend of mine, very big on the Newcastle scene, had said that they weren't even in for him. I'm not entirely sure if that's true. I've seen reports that they were. He said that Newcastle don't come out and bring in a player that they don't bring in, they don't talk about the transfer business. I don't know enough about Newcastle, so maybe that is the case. But clubs were in for Mbeumo. Manchester United did want him, and we got him. Well, sorry, we're in a strong position now because he's chosen Manchester United. Deal hasn't been officially announced. There's no here we go yet, but hopefully that is getting closer. And if we do get a here we go and we've got Cunha in, that is a brilliant start to the transfer window. Now, I'm excited from the point of the fact that this is big strides forward, but we've still a long way to go. We've still many more players to shift out and many more players to bring in. Does this mean this is the start of a mass exodus of players from Manchester United? I think if Bruno doesn't go and Bruno does come in, then we do need to sell some players. And as I said, there was a little break-in story just before I went on here, saying that Chelsea are really interested in Garnacho. But my next story, I'll bring this in first, is that Chelsea have told Manchester United they're willing to pay Sancho on a permanent basis. They're willing to make the deal, take him on a permanent basis. And there's more expected now in terms of progressing the deal over the next couple of days or weeks. That was coming in from Graham Bailey. So Graham Bailey can be a bit hit and miss, get some things right, get some things wrong. But the news that was breaking just after that was that Chelsea were interested in Garnacho. Now, I wouldn't like to sell Garnacho to Chelsea because I think Chelsea is a potential rival. Yes, we have a lot to improve to show that we are a rival of Chelsea's next season, because we certainly weren't this year. But I would hate to see Garnacho go to Chelsea. If he goes to Napoli, if he goes to another European club, fine. He can go off, he can do his business, and maybe become the player that I think he can become. But I don't know if Chelsea can do the business. I wouldn't like to see him go to Chelsea. Sancho's gone there and he hasn't done great, but that was okay. I had a feeling that he might struggle. I think Garnacho could go into that team and actually be quite progressive and carry on getting better. But there was I wasn't sure what the money was in regards to Garnacho. There was 40 million talk, which I think is 20 million less than what they wanted to pay in the January transfer window. So we've lost 20 million there, which is only Manchester United could do that. Ridiculous. But if Chelsea were to do the deal with Jadon Sancho, that would give us a little bit extra money to spend, which is going to be needed now. If Bruno's not going, we're going to have to try and find a way to sort of fill that void going forward. But it's all going off. But so this is a little bit that was on Rasmus Hojlund. Rasmus Hojlund has explicitly told his entourage that he would like to remain at Manchester United this summer and continue to fight for his place under Amorim. Now, we know that there is big interest from Inter Milan. Inter Milan are really keen on him. Inter Milan, I think, would like to take him. Rasmus has obviously said here to his entourage that he wants to stay and fight for his place. We haven't signed a striker yet. There isn't news breaking that Gyökeres has chosen an English Premier League club, which will be interesting to see who that is. Maybe it's Liverpool, maybe it's Arsenal, maybe it is Manchester United. If Manchester United were to have Mbeumo and Cunha and Gyökeres up front, I think that massively transforms our forward line from what we had last year, and we could be serious contenders at least for a top 5 position. So that's the news that was breaking on Rasmus. So as I said, breaking all over the place. And this was something that Laurie Whitwell came out with. Ruben Amorim wants an athletic number 8 type midfielder while strengthening his wing back area in, is on the agenda. So Manchester United are looking to change a lot. Laurie Whitwell is pretty close to Manchester United. He does a lot of stuff on the Stretford paddock. I do listen to a lot of that, and it's very informative. And he is tapped into the club. So I do think that there's probably some truth in this, but I don't know whether we will find an athletic number 8. Edison is the one that Manchester United kind of been heavily linked with. I would love that to come off. I don't think it will. I think Edison might go to maybe the Saudi Pro League if we don't get him. I don't know whether we can afford him. I think we're now at a stage where we're going to have to sell to buy. So it'd be interesting to see who it is we're going to have to sell to buy and who it is we're going to buy. But then what does that leave for Kobe Mainoo? If we buy an 8 and we kept Bruno, I fear for Kobe. I fear that he may be the one who is showing the door. Brilliant prospect, great talent. And not that we should be building a team around him, but I'd be really disappointed to see him go. If you see him and Garnacho go, it is disappointing that the young kids that are coming through the youth ranks that have a lot of potential aren't able to carry on that potential in Manchester United. Now, we are trying to build a young team. We have Aiden Heaven, we have Yoro, we have Dogru, we have Ahmad, and there's a lot of other young kids coming through the youth system. Harry Amas has kind of broke through, Tyler Fredrickson's of this world. So there has been players that have still carried on breaking through from the youth team. I just don't know. I'd be gutted to see Kobe go. I'd be disappointed to see Garnacho go. But these are potentials. This could potentially happen now, especially with Bruno staying and if Manchester United are looking for another number 8. But that's where we are with all that. And then the final story was the sort of Manchester United need to add goals, and that's a priority in this window. Ruben Amorim is a major admirer of Victor Gyökeres, while there could be a re-evaluation on Osimhen now that Delap is off the table. These two names don't go away. Osimhen and Gyökeres are still on the table. Obviously, there was the Mitrovic link yesterday, but apparently that was gone, as in they said no, that's not happening. It's not actually going to take place. So this is what we're left with. Gyökeres or Osimhen. I would take either. If we got either of them playing up front behind Mbeumo and Cunha, I'd absolutely love it. It'd be absolutely brilliant. But that's where we are now. So guys, thanks very much. That is your I always kind of stretch the 10 minutes and go over. Apologies, but if you're enjoying the content, please hit the like. Please hit the old follow. Please hit the old subscription. That would be absolutely, subscribe to the channel. That would be absolutely brilliant. Thank you for everyone who has been watching. Thank you to all the views, for all the comments. I'm loving it. Loving being back. I'm disappointed I had to go away. But thank you very much for joining me again. And I'm going to leave it there. And I will catch you tomorrow, because obviously there's going to be more breaking news over the next 7 days. It's all going off. It's crazy right now. But yeah, we'll try and stay on top of it as much as we can here. Okay, catch you in a bit.